In today's video, I'm going to go over a question, or actually multiple questions that was posed in the comments of one of my videos. It comes from Elephant999, and the summary of what his comments and questions were is that one, when he puts YouTube videos on the canvas, he's not getting it in the library. So that was one question. Why are the YouTube videos not showing up in the library? And then there was another one where, Noteey does claim to be an offline application that does not require you to log in order to use it. So another one of his questions was around why would he need to log in, or if there was no internet, he would need to log in order to use the application. And then switching to another device was another question around if he had to switch to another device and needed to log in and he had no internet, how does that actually kind of affect his use of the application? So I want to go ahead and run through these three different questions here. I'm going to go ahead and start with the YouTube question first. And this one is pretty easy to answer, but I think the question is pretty valid and from a user perspective and how intuitive the app is, or you can even say how consistent some of the ways to get stuff into the library are within the Noteey app right now. So if we go ahead and let's take a link from one of the videos here on YouTube, and I'll just go ahead and copy this one. We'll paste it on the board, and what happens is you get the video thumbnail show up on the board here. Now, for most people, they would assume that this video, once it's on the board, that it will end up in the library. And that's not the case. And for some good reason, you don't want to have everything that you put on this board end up in your library. Mostly because a lot of the stuff that is put on a whiteboard is more like a brain dump, where you're just dumping a whole bunch of stuff on there, whether it's useful or not, and hoping that it sparks some creative idea to produce an end output, right? So having everything by default go into the library would kind of mess the library up and just fill it up with a bunch of stuff that may not be useful. So by default, there are some objects that do not go into the library when you create it. One is YouTube videos. When you drag those onto the board or the canvas, they do not go directly into the library. And you also don't get it with images. So this image here has been copied onto this board here, and it's not in the library. So if I bring up the side pane that shows stuff in the library, this does not show up in there. And in order to get the image into the library, this is an easy right click, and then you go and add to library. You can see it just showed up in that library there. Now for a YouTube video, this is a little bit different. So these online videos that you show here are mainly meant so you can do video highlights to these things. So the way it's been designed right now is if you right click on here, there is no add to library. I do think that would actually be pretty useful to be able to just add the online video to the library, just because if you're not ready to do, say, any highlighting or annotation to the video at that moment, at least the video is in the library, and you might want to keep this video in the library without any annotations. But because that feature is not there today, the way you get this video into the library is that you actually give it a highlight. So you can do that in a couple different ways. If you click on it, there's a little highlight feature right here. It'll pop up another window where the video's on the left side, and then your highlights will be on the right. If you don't like this particular option, you can always put it into the sidebar, and then the video is one on the side is at the top, and then your highlights are at the bottom. So you can pick either one of these options on how you might want to add the highlights there. Now, if you just want to get this into the library, you can create a placeholder highlight, put something in there to identify what the highlight is, and then just confirm it. And now the video and the highlight are both in the library. And if we go to the library here, we can see that that video is there, and so is the highlight. Now, the behavior of this, though, these two being tied together, is that when I put the highlight on the board or on the canvas, I can easily get back to the video. Say if this video is not right now where it is sitting on this board, if it was not, let's go ahead and remove it here. And I think this is another consistency thing within the menu where this should probably just be remove instead of delete, because you might be thinking you're going to delete this from the library, but you're just removing it from the board. So now that that highlight is here, if I ever want to get to the video, I can just hit the locate button, and then it will take me directly to where the video is, and then from there I can see all of the other highlights. So from that standpoint, I think it works pretty well, but it could be an enhancement or improvement where you can directly add a video to the library. Because one other thing here, if we go into the library and let's say I go in here and I delete this one from there or remove it from that board, but I come here and I delete it from the library. So if I delete that highlight from the library, if I change over and then go back to the library, we can see that that video is gone now. So because there's no highlight reference, the video disappears as well. So I think that's also another area where this could be improved, to where if you want that video to be in the library, you can add it directly and it's not tied to the highlight, because if you delete all your highlights, then you're also deleting the video, which you might not really want. So let me put this one in the board here, and we will check that one off. So the next one is need to log in. So with Noteey, you do not need to log in to the application. You can completely use it for free without logging into this app. I can right now log out of this application and still use it and still see all of the information. So if I come in here, I go into settings, I log out, and then now I'm logged out of the application. And to prove it, let's just reopen the app. And one way to know that you're not logged in is that you'll get this upgrade to Pro message here down in the bottom left corner. So if you're not logged in, and let's say the only time this won't show up is if you were previously logged in and then you logged out. This doesn't really update or refresh once you've logged out after previously being logged in. You'd have to close it and reopen it. But this is a good signal that you're not logged in, and when you are not logged in, you are basically not licensed either. So being logged in helps in one way, that if you have purchased a license, you can activate your application after you log in. But you can also log in and not have your software licensed. So there's the confused. You may get confused that if you log in, you're automatically going to get a license. That is not the case. You have to log in and then activate in order to have both of those work. So logging in does not necessarily automatically activate your license per se. You could be logged in and not have a license activated. And also being logged out does not mean you do not have access to your information. So right now I can come in here and I can see everything that I have, and I can get to everything. I can still open up stuff here. Everything works from me being able to access my information. The only thing is that because now I'm seen as a free user without an active license, if I wanted to come in here and create another project, it will tell me that there is a limit and that I cannot create anymore, and that I actually need a license. So you will be restricted to the limitations of a free user from that perspective. But whatever you've already created, you can still leverage and use when you're logged out. So there is no concern with not having access to the internet, and if you don't have access to the internet, you're not going to have access to your data, because the application is local first. So everything is stored on your local device right now. There is no cloud sync by default that happens here, whether you're logged in or logged out. So when you log in, unlike Heptabase type of application where you're logging in, it automatically starts syncing your local content to the cloud. That is not the way Noteey works. It is completely private and local, and no one at Noteey has access to your information, because it's all on your desktop, and it never leaves that desktop unless you come into the settings and you leverage their sync option here. And this sync option is a third-party sync, so you have to have either OneDrive or Google Cloud or some cloud provider that you can point to a folder on it, and then it will actually sync everything to that folder. And then from there, you can connect another remote device, a separate device, to that same folder, and then they can both see the same information. Now, I have a separate video on how this actually works, so I would check that out. And there have been one recent update, in the latest update 1.18, where when you open up the application, open up Noteey, it will automatically pull from this sync directory and update the Noteey application. And then there's also a checkbox now, so when you go to close the application, it'll prompt you to confirm a sync, or you can just cancel and not sync to this cloud storage folder. There's now a feature to not prompt you anymore and just automatically do it all the time. So those are the only real differences now, since or changes that are not shown in the actual video. So with that said, when you're for these particular questions here, let me come here, where you need to log in. No, you don't need to log in. You can use it, but you're considered a free user. Even after you've put data in there and you've purchased a license, you can still not log in and still have access to your license, to your information and your data. You just are treated like a free user. And then from a switching to another device, if you want to switch to another device, you have to use that sync option, set up a sync folder that both devices can get access to, and then just set them up appropriately. And I would watch that video that I did on this process, so you know that how it really works. So, because it could get confusing, and you might overwrite some information if you set it up outside of the right order. So I think this here is answered. There is no cloud sync by default, so logging in is not associated with syncing between devices either. All right, so I think I answered all the questions that came out of this particular response here or comment within the community. If there are any other questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments, and I will get to them as soon as I can. Also, if you like the information on this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until the next time, have a nice day.